The storm didn't come with thunder. That was the first thing that made it wrong. No rolling clouds. No warning winds. Just a sudden darkening of the sky above Outpost Hale, as if the universe itself had blinked and forgotten to open its eyes again. The air pressure dropped so fast my ears popped, and the horizon, normally a pale blue smear of desert and sky, folded inward like wet paper. I was alone on the platform when the alarms began. Atmospheric anomaly detected. The Outpost AI droned, its voice flat and useless. Probability of survivable conditions, 12%. 12% is survivable, I muttered, pulling my coat tighter and bracing myself against the rail. Then the storm opened. It wasn't wind. It was force, raw, gravitational distortion tearing across the plateau in visible waves. Dust didn't just lift. It stretched, elongated into strands before snapping back into the ground. The air shimmered with static light, blue-white arcs dancing between stones, metal, and bone. I should have retreated inside. Instead, I saw her. She fell from the heart of the storm like something thrown out by an angry god, tumbling, spinning, wrapped in a cocoon of flickering energy that cracked and flared with every meter she dropped. The field collapsed just before she hit the platform, dumping her onto the metal with a sound halfway between thunder and glass breaking. I ran. Training screamed at me to wait, to assess, to scan for contaminants or hostile tech. But instinct overruled protocol. When someone falls out of a storm like that, you don't stand around making notes. She wasn't human. At least, not fully. Her skin was a pale silver blue, luminous beneath the emergency lights, etched with faint lines that pulsed like slow heartbeats. Long, dark hair clung to her face, soaked by rain that hadn't touched anything else around us. Her breathing was shallow, uneven, each breath sending a ripple of light through those glowing patterns. The storm howled louder, as if it noticed my interest. Outpost Hale, the AI said, urgency creeping into its voice. Structural integrity at 40%. Recommend immediate evacuation. Not happening, I said, kneeling beside her. When my hand touched her shoulder, the storm reacted. The pressure around us collapsed inward, forming a hollow, an eye in the chaos. The screaming wind died to a whisper. The static arcs vanished. For one impossible second, it was just the two of us on the platform, surrounded by silence. Her eyes opened. They were nothing like mine. Deep violet, layered with flecks of gold that moved like living stars. They focused on me instantly, sharp despite her obvious pain. You, she whispered, her voice resonant, as if it echoed inside my skull instead of the air. Yeah, I said, stunned. Me. Her fingers closed around my wrist with surprising strength. Not desperate.
Certain.
I came through the storm, she said, every word heavy with meaning. Because you were here. The storm surged again, furious now. I didn't ask questions. I didn't let go. I lifted her into my arms and ran for the inner hatch as the platform buckled behind us, metal screaming under impossible stress. The doors sealed just as the storm slammed into them, rattling the entire outpost like a tin can. Inside, emergency lights bathed the corridor in red. I set her down in the med bay, sealing the room as the AI rattled off damage reports I barely heard. My focus was on her, on the way the glowing lines across her skin dimmed and brightened, reacting to the environment, to me. Who are you? I asked softly. She studied my face, as if committing it to memory. My name, she said, cannot be spoken in your language without harm. Okay, I said. Then, what should I call you? She hesitated, then smiled faintly.
Stormborn, she said.
For now. The AI interrupted. Unknown life form detected. Quarantine procedures. No, Stormborn said. The word wasn't loud, but the AI's voice cut off mid-syllable. Every monitor in the room flickered, then went dark. I stared. You just shut down a Class 7 military AI. Yes, she said, eyes never leaving mine. They cannot be allowed to see me yet. Yet, I repeated. That implies later. Her expression tightened. Later may never come. That depends on how long you can keep me safe. That was the beginning. By morning, if you could call the dim, storm-choked light outside morning, the outpost was gone. The storm had consumed everything beyond the inner habitat ring. Sensors were fried. Communications dead. Supply drones reduced to twisted wreckage scattered across kilometers of scorched earth. And the storm didn't move on. It hovered, circling the outpost like a living thing, its boundaries shifting but never retreating. Stormborn recovered faster than any human should have. Within hours she was standing, exploring the cramped corridors with quiet curiosity. She touched walls, consoles, viewport glass, every contact producing faint ripples of light along her skin. The storm is searching, she said, watching the distortion outside. It knows I survived. What is it? I asked. She met my gaze. A net. A weapon. A prison. For you? For my kind. She explained in fragments, careful not to overload me. Her people weren't conquerors or gods, as humans would later fear. They were anchors, beings capable of stabilizing regions of space-time where reality frayed. Storms like the one outside weren't natural disasters. They were containment fields, deployed by a coalition of advanced civilizations terrified of what her species represented. They believe we are too powerful, she said. That if left free, we will reshape the universe. And will you? Her lips curved in a sad smile. We already did. Long ago. We learned from our mistakes. The coalition hadn't forgiven them, so they hunted Stormborn's kind, trapping them in storms and collapsing those storms into nothingness once their prey was contained. Why did you come here? I asked. To a human outpost on the edge of nowhere? She stepped closer, her presence warming the air around us. Because you are invisible to them, she said. And because when I looked through all possible exits from the storm, you were the only constant. I didn't know what to say to that. Over the next days, we adapted. I rationed supplies. She learned our systems faster than I could teach them, intuitively understanding interfaces designed by minds far more primitive than her own. In return, she taught me how to listen to the storm, to feel its pressure shifts, its moods. We slept in shifts, though she rarely needed rest. When I slept, I dreamed of stars folding into new shapes, of storms that sang instead of screamed. And slowly, inevitably, something changed. The storm pressed closer. They've found the weakness, Stormborn said one night, standing at the viewport. My presence stabilizes the outpost. They will collapse the storm inward. And kill you, I said. Yes. I clenched my fists. Then we leave. She turned, surprised. You cannot survive the storm. I survived long enough to drag you inside, I said. We'll figure out the rest. She studied me for a long time, then nodded. There is one way, she said. But it will bind you to me. Permanently. Meaning? You will become my anchor. I swallowed. What does that cost? She didn't look away. Your life as it is now. I laughed softly. Outpost Hale is gone. My life as it was already ended. The storm screamed as we stepped onto the platform together. She took my hands, her skin blazing with light. The storm surged, compressed, then bent around us, not resisting, but yielding. Through the chaos, I felt her fear, not for herself, but for me. "You must not let go," she said. "No matter what you see." Reality fractured. I saw cities burning, stars collapsing, alien fleets shattering under forces beyond physics. I felt power brush against my mind, vast and terrifying. I held on. When the storm finally broke, it wasn't with destruction, but with release. The sky cleared. Silence returned. The coalition's net lay in ruins, its purpose undone. Stormborn collapsed against me, breathing hard but alive. "It's over," she whispered. "For them," I said. "What about us?" She looked up, eyes brighter than I'd ever seen them. "Now," she said, "we go where storms are born, and we make sure no one ever cages my kind again." I glanced at the empty horizon, then back at her. "Sounds dangerous." She smiled, luminous and fierce. "Good. You'll be very hard to replace." As we stepped forward together, the universe shifted, just a little, around us. And somewhere far beyond human space, the storms began to fear us instead. We didn't leave immediately. The storm was gone, but the universe hadn't finished reacting to what we'd done. For 3 days, the sky above the ruins of Outpost Hale shimmered with afterimages, echoes of collapsed probabilities snapping back into place. Stars flickered in patterns no human telescope had ever recorded. Space itself felt attentive. Stormborn stood beside me at the edge of the platform that no longer led anywhere. The metal beneath our feet was scorched, twisted, but stable, held together by something deeper than physics now. "You are changing," she said quietly. "Guess I didn't get a choice," I replied. She shook her head. "You always had a choice. That is why it worked." I could feel it then, the connection. Not intrusive, not overwhelming. Just there. A shared current beneath thought and emotion. When she breathed, the air around us warmed. When I focused, the stars subtly realigned, as if listening. The coalition did not return. Instead, we felt them watching from afar, distant, cautious, afraid. "They won't attack again," Stormborn said. "Not openly." "Because of you?" I asked. "Because of us." She told me what I had become. Not her servant, not her weapon, her equal anchor. Where her kind once stabilized reality alone, burning themselves out across millennia, we would do it together. 2 minds, 2 perspectives, balancing power with restraint. Human stubbornness, she called it. The thing her people had always lacked. We buried what remained of Outpost Hale, not with graves, but with memory. She wove light into the wreckage, sealing it outside normal space-time. A scar the universe would remember, even if no one else ever found it. Before we left, I asked her the question I'd been holding since the storm first opened. "What happens to me?" She rested her forehead against mine, light rippling softly across her skin. "You will live longer than your species expects," she said. "But not forever. You will still feel loss. Still feel fear. Still choose who you are." "And you?" I asked. She smiled. Not the distant, cosmic smile of something ancient, but something personal. "I will never be alone again." When we stepped forward, space unfolded. Not tearing this time, but welcoming us. A corridor of quiet stars opened ahead, leading toward regions no map had ever charted. Behind us, the last echoes of the storm faded. Ahead of us, new ones waited. Stormborn took my hand, not because she needed to, but because she wanted to. And for the first time since humanity began staring into the sky and wondering what waited beyond the storms, the universe had an answer. Not conquest, not annihilation, but a promise that even in the most violent chaos, someone could choose to protect what mattered. And sometimes, that someone was human.